What's another wife?
Oh, Nana de ono jina na so de da o. Nana ya jam to ade.
Oh, Nana so de original na so.
Nana ya jam to
last time Isiano, I nearly had a problem. Mean that out.
Ewen.
Ewo mo haya. Your point no room na me wie me show me so me pie. Nti me do ha na guy be see. Tell lady no ko no one na ma. Na me lady be. No so woman na obo. I'm say hwe. Why? Nana ya na so no be ka no. Say na na room na me say ah unni me de ko. Obe say wako. Una nana wako fa no. Why?
Then I was watching. They say asema okay.
No, you see, she's refusing to grow. That is one thing I may say.
Exactly the point I'm trying to make.
I don't know why she's refusing to.
Oh dear, you first your penny.
Because go there, shed no me first time if you catch and say yeah.
Oh papa, good morning, Nana. And I pay personally, I'm the same because you be the tariffs home come and because why you more PUR student, I am the pass or panel not. So, my member, the Honourable Member of Parliament for Brekum West, Honourable Dixon Chedia, Honourable Mathieu.
Majoso,
I want to
Adom Bibia.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
President Mahama Eboejuma. The game changer happened over the weekend. Techiman feed Ghana.
Yeah.
That is the game changer. And if free Bonobedru and in the coming days, Ubehuno de Eba.
I see.
We are living in a country, poultry, rice, and tomato money. Tomato alone over $400 million.
Let me
from Burkina Faso. Rice over 400 million.
Greek minister.
In fact,
now Greek minister can say the Ebroni Emoka 27,000 tons.
Exactly. And we are spending $2 billion to import food dollars. Abra ye warfare Thailand and it takes a visionary leader like President Mahama. A feed Ghana no massa. Game changer. Oko me constituency, Brekum West, Gene Secondary School, a large tract of land. Sisia ye shasiye a support womo, a momo duen we ano ho. Mkwarano ya yen nkoko ayen na ntwie mu ne ade na ye fidio mo a
wow
omonya aduane papa di St Augustine. I mean feed Ghana a game changer.
Okay,
individuals they say nkoko nkitenkete aye kan na nipa bi ntiase say you spend $400 million na nei obi afie wo yen nkoko na atumi yen 2020 na nya 100,000 households e mo take part. Can you imagine the benefit?
That's huge.
Sika ye de be ko outside ye be save sika no ha e be create nyuma that your food security. And in fact ye be export rather than. And Maka, I'm on record to have said, say, Brekum West alone, betumi amaye 800 metric tons of tomato, enough to feed the entire Ghana.
I see.
With the agreed for economic transformation agenda, feed Ghana eba. Team and Honorable Erikopoku Akasa, our team will be coming there. Because currently, Oba Ghana, we are among the top 5 districts produce tomato. But acquire rain fed. Yenya irrigation systems to do all year round. Over 5,000 people are involved in tomato production in Brekum West alone. And land, any problem. Yenya irrigation system, any financial support, any technical supporter. And to say President Mahama, at over 5,000 veterinary graduates, Gumwa, they're going to provide any agric extension graduates. They're going to provide technical support all over.
Okay.
Yenya irrigation, yenya government financial support, yenya input with the machinery, airbar, ye creative centers. Brekum West in the next 2-3 years alone can feed Ghana. Na ye $400 million I de ko Burkina Faso abro monote desert so no that will stay in Ghana.
All right.
Ebe boost ye CD no.
Right.
I'm economy near to me akọ. I'm excited coming to this studio today.
Right.
On the back of the course of
the all right. Ma yengin katwe mana fi me ba feed Ghana nkomo no eka topics a ebe treaty anapay na ye nkomra channel so Mpensenpensenmu max buy happy life absa SME loan your story matters o madara ma no mu cry atne ma yenje nkatwe ma na fe ye ba ye hye nkomo twe
Yaba powder, Jojo lemon vodka, fortune spread, Franco Trading Enterprise, Linda Door Restop, Edec powered by SMB Test, Coronation Insurance, Adom Co Easter 2025. Afi, Adom Co Easter no dia jayo. Ye dia manasu se fia. Adom FM, Asempa Family, Adom TV, the Adom Co Easter 2025 for Brown. I am back to back non-stop entertainment. Adom Co Easter 2025. Yes, just Thursday 17th February. You need the first stop. I am Linta Tor. Unsu Jansing. I know you're quite so. They could create video about the work and happiness. And you'll feel console programs and Brown. Get the live band at Yatua Boswatola. Now, dear Chief, 18th February. Jabba for me Pono. Yet you'll feel console. And Adom Cassiaba live from Adom Park or Main. Now, Adom Park. Yet you fear that must walk concert about Dwaso. I fear that must walk concert. Powered by Guinness. Rabatas the performances are hot. Face Saturday 19th February. You near that you. You pay us some perfect co-Easter games. I will quote a for Hona Cold to the Prims of football. I mean, who is who? Nana Numero. Yes, we are to be a fat. I am the Mega Street Bash. Jekukuru stage Bambala Pass Adom Park. Boswama Diachin Way. Performing live on stage. I am your surprises be brema. Afi, top musicians with the KO7. For the guys and be breaking can perform. 80 dancers. Kasahari soldiers sese api. Powered by Guinness. Adom Co Easter 2025. Follow your way social media platforms hold on. Yebe mo wo de akoso ko na live. #Adom Co Easter. Ni makwa so yasene. Guinness Black Science Brightest. Allergy Vision Eye Clinic. Yaba powder. Jojo lemon vodka. Fortune spread. Franco Trading Enterprise. Linda Door Restop. Edec powered by SMB Test. Coronation Insurance. Adom Co Easter 2025. Afi, Adom Co Easter no dia jayo. Ye dia manasu se fia. Adom FM, Asempa Family, Adom TV, the Adom Co Easter 2025 for Brown. I am back to back non-stop entertainment. Adom Co Easter 2025. Yes, just Thursday 17th February. You need the first stop. I am Linta Tor. Unsu Jansing. I know you're quite so. They could create video about the work and happiness. And you'll feel console programs and Brown. Get the live band at Yatua Boswatola. Now, dear Chief, 18th February. Jabba for me Pono. Yet you'll feel quite so. And Adom Cassiaba live from Adom Park or Main. Now, Adom Park. Yet you fear that must walk concert about Dwaso. I fear that must walk concert. Powered by Guinness. Rabatas the performances are hot. Face Saturday 19th February. You near that you. You pay us some perfect co-Easter games. I will quote a for Hona Cold to the Prims of football. I mean, who is who? Nana Numero. Yes, we are not to be a fat. I am the Mega Street Bash. Jekukuru stage Bambala Pass Adom Park. Boswama Diachin Way. Performing live on stage. I am your surprises be brema. Afi, top musicians with the KO7. For the guys and be breaking can perform. 80 dancers. Kasahari soldiers sese api. Powered by Guinness. Adom Co Easter 2025. Follow your way social media platforms hold on. Yebe mo wo de akoso ko na live. #Adom Co Easter. Ni makwa so yasene. Guinness Black Science Brightest. Allergy Vision Eye Clinic. Yaba powder. Jojo lemon vodka. Fortune spread. Franco Trading Enterprise. Linda Door Restop. Edec powered by SMB Test. Coronation Insurance. Adom Co Easter 2025. Afi, Adom Co Easter no dia jayo. Ye dia manasu se fia. Adom FM, Asempa Family, Adom TV, the Adom Co Easter 2025 for Brown. I am back to back non-stop entertainment. Adom Co Easter 2025. Yes, just Thursday 17th February. You need the first stop. I am Linta Tor. Unsu Jansing. I know you're quite so. They could create video about the work and happiness. And you'll feel console programs and Brown. Get the live band at Yatua Boswatola. Now, dear Chief, 18th February. Jabba for me Pono. Yet you'll feel quite so. And Adom Cassiaba live from Adom Park or Main. Now, Adom Adom Park wa. The theater must work concert bet Dwaso. A theater must work concert. Powered by Guinness. Rabatas the performances are hot. Saturday 19th April. You near that yo. Anopono. You pay us some perfect co-Easter games. Ewo quota for. Hona quota the prims for football. I mean who is who? Nana numero. Ye chimuji anato be 5,000. And the mega street bash. Ye kukuru stage bambala pass ya Adom Park. Boswama diachwe. Performing live on stage. I am jubilation. Your surprises be brema. Afi. Top musicians with the KO7. For the guys and be breaking can perform. 80 dancers. Kasahari soldiers sese. Api. Powered by Guinness. Adom co-Easter 2025. Follow your way social media platforms. I want to say. Live. Hashtag Adom co-Easter. Guinness. Black Science Brightest. Allergy Vision Eye Clinic. Or Triaba Powder. Jojo Lemon Vodka. Fortune Spread. Franco Trading Enterprise. Linda Door Rest Stop. Edec powered by SMB Test. Coronation Insurance. Adom co-Easter 2025. Afi, Adom co-Easter no dia jayo. Ye dia manasu se fia. Adom FM, Mpensenpensenmu Adom TV, the Adom co-Easter 2025 for Brown. I am back-to-back non-stop entertainment. Adom co-Easter 2025. Yes, Thursday 17th April. Yeah, the first stop. I am Linda Door. Unsu Johnson. I know your co-Quinso. They could create video now about the work and happiness. And your few council programs and Brown. The live band the Tiatua Boswatola. Now, dear Chief, 18th February. Yeah, for me, Pono. Yet your few Quinso. And Adom Cassiaba live from Adom Park upon me. Adom Park, that you fear that must for concert about
6.3 FM. My main sign and my baby, Abeja 4 at Tenassi. And Koma, ye de a chassis, a release a free. The Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, ABA, say a free may bosomene de tosumiensa electricity across by 14.75%. Water and so cost by 4.02%. Finance Minister kind budget, you know. In fact, there was so much relief. Not a woman demand the ordinary Ghanaian. And they ma share. I am command tied to himself PURC quarterly or mere quarterly review and adjustment. My mission free nana cheyemu adwumano uwa komu pen.
Edasu
wom. In fact, udasu we a board member. Yeah. This akra de wa board. Nana how did we get here? Na pay many PURC for twetwe komo no mche say ade o mka so mo keka ne ma abu mu kra no
ma twetwe komo we ade na asa sem so me PURC
e da bi wo de ne de say wo de ultimanim ha
da bi say no bi akasa de hu hia siti en ka sem fofo
da bi say wadaroma but what goes into these
that's what maka kire
da bi nana wadaroma what goes into these adjustments
wo maka kire no mo say
wadaroma nana e wo na me bisa mbisa no
so makasa de no anu
nana mbisa no to be honest because na himself oba me show ni so ensem bi ho no ma mbisa no
into wadaroma
by way of education, what goes into these tariff adjustments?
So mark no wakasa. How so mo no wakasa na meso me bekan bi.
Ehun pa nana.
Okay, then no mo catch on na me feel in.
I mean, we are told of the factors that contribute to these increments: the inflation, exchange rate, domestic inflation, generation. Yeah, but you hear unse na akwa phones unti ye nyambresa and twetwe sa nkomo but wo wa he betimi aboan kakra. Yeah, it's as simple as that. Nana Obapa. Presidential staffer.
I'll force her to say something. Reason say. You see, when we're talking about 24 hours economy,
yes,
I mean, I must be honest and sincere with you. Look, she explained the thing into understanding that they won't be the political party said to change. And I was convinced about what she said.
Wow.
I must be honest, not because she say here. Or who say what I say. Yes. So me, honestly, last when I saw her as a board member of the WINU, I was not surprised. Because just tell me, say, who make PURC more relevant during her time? Almost all the time.
She was all over everywhere. In fact, the first time I'm engaging Nana Janto, I was on Accra FM.
Yes,
I'm on Accra FM, and I'm here in interview.
When Ghanaians are so angry and are mad about increases, the way a man should come and explain it to you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Na me say mami we ni kura abremu obe Mpensenpensenmu man confo pa. I'm telling you. To be honest, Lord, let's put politics aside. Or you see, when it comes to Jumani dia.
Yeah.
At this morning, I was just saying that your friend is saying, Joy Prime. So look, the initiative of Feed Ghana, if only say the politics be too change, it will be benefit for all of us. I mean, we should we have gotten to a stage where we have to put politics aside and look at how we can build our nation. So for me, she has to tell us something. You have to convince the reason, because other than that, I'll be going to the political line. But for what my experience with her on Asempa, on the explanation of electricity issues, no, I was convinced. So maybe today you can also convince me on that.
Papa.
Okay. And I didn't share my mema honorable for me. Na me didn't share so ama Dr. Callistus Mahama, secretary to the president, and Mrs. Beatrice Annan, who is also a colleague staffer, and pay me Chelmo. These are very wonderful people that I work with. Me a co-meeting, no, we didn't share my once. A co-meeting, no, we looked at some parameters here working.
Yeah.
But key among it was the fact that there was no quarterly adjustment first quarter because of transition issues.
Yeah.
And third and fourth quarter of 2024, not everything was passed on. What we are looking at right now, a revenue requirements for the utilities. Okay. Revenue requirement, sika omu here omu de beye juma, and it's not only ECG, all of them, generation, distribution, your friend is saying transmission. So you get to distribution, you have enclave power, netco, and ECG.
Yes. Transmission,
there are one per grid co. Generation, your friend is saying VRA and the IPPs. So this is Sikaomu here on the Bay Juma. The difference is that it's not the debts a war for fuel tuyama the 70
Okay.
This one is just for the revenue requirements. Says Sikami here made Bay Juma day to day. Eswati. It's Eswati because Sikebi anami hiano. Ya anye de ya mfani nyina amame. Into a cool meeting, there was we wanted to pass because the full cost to clear the 943 million debts was 27.59%.
Is it 976?
976, yes, 976 was about 27 and over percent. So I was with the view that I'm passing on and clear debt But
now say only about 27%.
Yes, for to clear the whole 973. If you are done 27% and Quebec clear debt.
Okay.
That's just so many clean slates. No be a what. But going into a major tariff review, so now Quebec to me about say a major tariff review cry because say I clear when and increase the labor cry any match. But so we deliberated and we came to a deadlock.
Okay.
And I journey Sankoba view in the afternoon on Friday, and we deliberated TUC. Deliberated and we got to 14 points. But still, the TUC and the AGI thought to say lower. But say lower so. No, it means that you are always accumulating an overhang. Yes, because when you're 15%, like 14.7, but it's 15% like getting to 15% increase, which is equal to 50% of the debt cleared in this 3 months. Into the deliberate then we majority of us but now what we all agree to do is that we have to make sure that the utilities yebema womo ayo medwumayi. You be make sure say quality of service issues they will deal with it. Yebema omo ehun say KPIs bia wo ho bia omo be ye adwuma ama they will adhere to it. This is where we are. It will clear 50% of the, at least so they can now claim 50%. It's we are going somewhere. But we won't do business as usual. So there's a revenue mobilization drive they say I also by the ECG. Netco to the same thing is going on today. Minister Krampo Ewoho. Intino and only regional minister, northern region. Intino, this is where we are.
Okay.
Yes, issue of IMF of a condition precedent.
Yeah.
You know, IMF, had so many conditions, but this one was a condition precedent that automatic adjustment formula should work. So that at the end of the day, tariff may a problem with payments. So automatic adjustment formula juma. Going forward, number 2, they didn't want to say this our music utility car. So these are some of the issues that then you share you who say okay, let's see how it meets one more canoswa
Okay, but Nana, on the issue of IMF, Dr. Gideon Boakon has said we shouldn't blame the electricity tariffs increment on IMF deal because MPP managed the electricity tariffs better.
They didn't. I don't want to talk about it, but when I was saying politics. So we share 2023, almost first increase be in third and fourth quarter, it was 18-19%. And because they didn't manage it better, that is why we are here. If say Oma interfere in the tariff, first time, if they didn't interfere in the 20% decrease, decrease you could 2018-2019. You remember they fulfilled a promise, a manifesto promise on decrease the tariff. They should have done about 5%, all world over. American po, you can see a decrease for consumers, sometimes a 2%, aqua 5, almost 20%. And when they did the 20%, then they noticed that there was a gaping hole because then it affected the revenue requirement of the utility. That is when they decided, okay, and your mobile tier for fuel. And on this a
you feel that decrement now
the 20% decrease, yes, it's really
it was politically motivated.
Yes, that one they saw more cancel, they be almost the cancel
yeah.
So no aside, then you come to the automatic adjustment formula. From per information that we have, the third and the fourth quarter of 2024, they should have passed on 18 and 22%, but they passed on only 3% and I think 3.2. So look at the difference. Because you see, if you manipulate the system and you interfere in the work of the PURC, I was talking to them. No, tariff in Kitty say when there is an overhang, then the first quarter you don't even do anything.
Okay, Nananti, so what is that will be a comparison, cumulative increment between MPP, NDC 2009-2016, MPP 2016-2024. So MPP there, you're managing. I believe you've seen that comparison.
I've seen what Dr. Gideon Boakon has said. By the time of 2016, we had a levelized tariff regime. There was no need for anybody to touch it. By 2017, increment just to cater for the forex, the exchange rate, which is also a factor in the tariff. Do you get me?
Yeah.
You see, doing a tariff, it is not categorical, it's contingent. It's contingent on factors, a core tariff, So ultimately, factors dane ho kakra bia. Nessa also dane on who tariff what the problem ba. Because all my 20% is equal to a very huge amount of money. But also even 5% in utility revenue is a lot.
Yeah.
So to take off 20% as a chunk, that is a lot.
Okay.
Do you get me?
Okay, I get you.
Manage it better. How did you manage it better? Because even the last 2 quarters of 2024, the first quarter of January 25, nothing was done. So we cramp here titimua. Let's just say first quarter maybe we be 7%. So what must say?
Yeah. Yeah. I get you. Nana, my told them I'm in for some Messamba hobby. Honorable.
See,
and James and Chemuno, Nana Adiaba.
But in time, a catcher will say if she refuse her. If you feel so bad comment to her, some of us will also force her to say something.
But she has.
That's what I'm saying.
She's commenting.
Because, I mean, with the explanation, that's what I'm saying. So, you see, there are certain things we all have. We are gotten to a stage. And we shouldn't be doing politics with it. Because at the end of the day, it affects all of us. And when a successful swap, I don't think, say, honorable member Tiha, and in as much as she's your friend saying presidential staffer, she doesn't buying any channel utilities man. And you're doing a channel water bill, channel and light bill man. On one or two, the same applies to the member of parliament. The same applies to all of us. So, for the benefit of all Ghanaians, no. I mean, I've been saying, and I was just telling someone like, sometimes I have issues with my own party people, simply because we will see the things just as it is. Because for the benefit of Ghanaians, but sometimes it's because of the way we'll be reading politics into everything that we do. For the benefit of all of us. It's say previously. We are waiting to know. Then let you also introduce something which will not help us. For what she has, the explanation. That's why I say she has to explain for us because that is her field. Yeah. Hey, the way I know church, honestly, I didn't listen to the one you spoke to, but in as much as the Mpanbe Kasa, my understanding will not be the same as Nanaya because she has been there before. And that's as I told you, even when she was there, when the people, Ghanaians will be complaining, the way she will come and explain it. And from the explanation that she has given, I think, yes, I don't think that there's a need for us to make noise about it. It's because there were issues that need to be dealt with. So if those issues were not dealt with, and as you said, if those issues were dealt with previously, and where we are now, we might not be in the same situation. If say almost 14%, then maybe if we have not done it, if we have done it previously, it will be less than the 14% that they are banana mebo. Yes. So I think what was the reason as to why Yan to me and what we are supposed to do? Is it because of a political achievement and now it has come back to to deal with the issue. So sometimes I think issues comes, we deal with it holistically, devoid of partisan. Say because of ways and I've seen some argument people are making. And at Joy Prime, somebody sent a message. That you promised Ghanaians, you increased salary of Ghanaians 10%. And now I increase the tariffs for 14%. And you promised Ghanaians for one. You see, there are certain things we will have, me personally. And this one is an advice to Nanaya. I want to beg of you that some of these things, when it comes, you are who filled in the because I'm telling you, let's say, sorry, by the close of day today, you have some of your communicators that will mess up things for you, with understanding for you. I must be honest with you. People will come because of the political nature and comfortable remuneration. But when you have the time, and this week we are sending undi Easter. Fatu who say
director of corporate communications.
Yes, and my name Jojo.
Jojo.
Yeah, Charles Jojo Enti.
Okay.
Enti, yeah.
Also, they are the communications. Yes, as a board member, Meji or Mejuma.
Oh, there be, but
you see, apart from who, Ghana got no more baby or more some man be or
I'm a PR director.
Stanley
Mate.
When he's also explaining things, you understand. You see, sometimes, as I said, you may be in a politics. So, yes, Gideon has given a reason. But I also ask a very important question. Say, what happened at that time? If we have done it 2 years now, 1 year,
So you feel the past government should take the blame for where we are today? Honorable.
No, nobody should take the blame.
Let's continue.
What was the reason? Maybe there might be a reason until for that 2 years now. What was the reason?
No, but you are the cause for where we are now. This increment here, this year.
No, you don't forget, sir. Don't forget, sir. The 2 years now, I buy an increase. 2 quarters now.
2 quarters.
I buy might have a reason. You could have also called Gideon and asked him, say, yes, that 2 quarters, what happened? Maybe he can also give you a very tangible reasons at that time. Until I buy anything, and to me, what I say? Yes. But you can say, and I buy in a year, win a year. Then I also say, so
where we are, we don't have to do that.
I also say, okay, fine. Okay, and you move by increasing, and then it spoils everything.
Obia increasing.
What I say? Then we'll move on.
All right.
One said there's 4.02. That's a pass-through cost for Ghana Water. 33% of all activities almost electricity, almost pump, almost machines and also there's a cost for chemicals, and also that is how we arrived at 4.02. Once Ghana Water at the end they endorse into be anka but we no cramp under the circumstances may add the Nkaminya Yanke ko full hall ni a bed in free
for water no ka full hall
I said that was 9.73.
9.73. Okay.
And that maybe if you said 20, but I mean a majority and but CUC and you almost wake up 14 no they still are saying say it was true.
Okay.
But a bit clear. That was the initial lay. When I'm can't we went into a deadlock and we had to come back and agreed on this one.
I see. Honorable Dixon, my member
CJ, say subject with the Nana I exhaust BBA or my technical explanation. Na yenina agree say yemfanya politics. But one thing I want to say is energy issues are so critical for the socio-economic development of any country. So important. And the best friend say ye behwe na ye energy system no ya tutu ni ye. It's and say you are faced with two evils. Say ye be decide say ye into electricity bill na ebedru baby na system na collapse completely. Na ye be adjust to ensure our energy security. Your energy net to me agina. So these are two evils we face, and I think say na kano. We need to say a full hog because legacy debt and energy sector debt a big problem over the years and one government. That is why we call it legacy. Successive government and buying back on but a buying beyond to me political courage and well say or they introduce measures say ye be year through once and for all. President Mahama tried it with ESLA. With all the political risk and a womb he tried it. And it brought in a lot of money. Say to me, continue over the years. That is why we're saying, say unsettled debts. Now we only postponing it. Uko Gridco, Uko ECG, Uko VRA, Netco, obsolete machines. In fact, earlier I was Adom TV na me cite example. Uko me constituency, Brekum West. New areas don't fete new crasso ne adie. Ushe low current, one transformer na a huge area. Wabeso unkania kanena nyankania actually low current. Netco VRA any sika or mode as procure more transformers. Oko sisia new areas a train kania be more to mupos or per meter keke de aboho. Sikeni ho. Who are we deceiving?
PUR said to me, I recover over 800,000.
So
at the Aman Netco in the Bono region.
So these are the issues. Issues what energy sector no. Once and for all, let's deal with them. Na nkakra. Te say the ken increase no a very difficult and economic situation as you was say. But say the American the other option and so say. Yanya ho hwe bedru baby na system na collapse completely. Let us absorb. Now going forward, there are a lot of measures. Say ye pass cost no to customers alone. I also plead with the regulators and so mo behwe the friend T&D losses, transmission and distribution losses. From Gridco transmission and distributors like Netco and ECG to be reduce those losses. Now ya pluck leakages, I'm a burden on the customers, to me about phone because we share your losses are both transmission and distribution. We are among the highest when it comes to the losses. I was say now meters and no man your money available because amount for CFA we or permit no nya. People will go illegal or before crime be so and on to yaka. Then all these losses are passed on to law-abiding customers. And the best say power players, enso behwe na leakages ewo system no omo aplock said e be ya law abiding citizens omo etua omo tariffs legitimately omo nso ba hwenhan omo na those who are doing illegal connections na transmission losses na sa no money na yenko passing fan koma customers no so that future reviews no increase ebeba no enko ye two burdens so eti kakra me
medase pa
add a minute, 1 minute to what he said, and in the I want to add my voice to it. The leakages within the ECG in fact water crapo and yeah chain ECG but ECG CJ it is bad. Look, I'm not afraid to mention areas. Call me Hanuma Bobuchi Haya. And look, there are some of them you'll be surprised about Kwamu Faso Mutrain your fence and lights.
Illegal connections.
Distance or the pipe at to form at train lights at the abaho. And you see some of them to think that they are operating. A be or more nickel machine. A be or more machines are more your friend is saying this metal things or more gates need those, so they consume a lot of electricity. Meanwhile, they don't pay electricity bill. And then he raised an issue, another very important issue. We don't have meter. So my see me there, my friend is saying new site. The place is bushy. That's the call ECG office. They be a meter and meter. And the only option I have is to do illegal. So to be my country and their far from the person or Tiho, he can be there for so many years. That is why there's always a fight between Ebenezer Oketela constituency. With your friend with ECG for because you'll be there later than ECG for the other. Look, me, I was having issues in my house.
A lower mania crobble,
I was having issues in my house with water bill. I live in my house with my wife and my 3 children. Honestly, me nyama, me family yensi wofi, me do call laundry. This is a mano or my school uniform. But water bill beba 800 Ghana, 700. I'm now me to be compound house be one area more now be remember some what about you here? No cover maybe at 50 cedi, 30 cedis. Now me call Ghana water. Now me say why? Now me say me new pito me feel cramming to us water bill. And then they brought a different meter. Ebe sign and a bar form. Now me says so is it a problem with the meter? So you know what happened? Recently when I was doing the renovation, me mamu yi meter ni nyina efro. Now me say obi su adjoin me meter na ono so eden. Used me water, maybe water bill their man. But when they check, they realize the main one I went down, there's a leakage that connect to my place. So all those things to me were make
Yeah.
So I mean sometimes this leakage also cost us a lot.
Okay.
At the end of the day, it goes to wine.
Okay.
Who consume
that's Mpensenpensenmu and I the last bite on this tariff issue. Nana, I would want you to address because Mekai said a brand now now you engage you most often no. The quality of service provided you the money. It was one major issue now to address it. Now you are a member of the board. How do we deal with it? How are you addressing this issue?
When we did the tariff, we all agreed. They said we have to hold them to KPIs.
Yes.
Because as the tariff has increased, let's say you clear 50% of your debts as a revenue requirement there. As I said, we should the right kind of service. You see, the balance has to be tipped very well. Your law not just say you're ensuring the financial viability of the utility service provider, whilst at the same time ensuring the interest of the consumer. Saying at least you meet almost halfway with their financial viability. So they should also meet the consumer half, of which we are going to insist. This time there's no load shedding BB anyhow. Until we are clear on what quality of services. We'll be like to call off so to me assist. They said the honorable leaking, say leakage and it happens so many times. We are going to make sure say your monetary teams now are going to go around to see what kind of quality of service. We are going to strengthen also our consumer services department so that now the numbers near the better abundant as we used to do. So that what problem be na what utility ni ho. Let's say you can come to us. But I don't know about some on cost of unserved energy. Say when your friend is saying power through the grid expensive because generator wakwa fuel expensive in price, expensive in circumstance. Imagine sa wada na jona o kan ne adum na o generator fuel nim. Then what will happen? And I midstream na wo ye bibi na o kan ne adum. Great stability is very, very key. Intensity it may strengthen your grade, it may strengthen your distribution, it may strengthen your generation. You see, the wires business, which is ECG and grid, are very expensive because almost the turnover of changing of Nearman and also because of the cables, transform. I would see why I overload. But I feel say ECC should start doing their work, electoral commission, because a powerful for a new service connection. As I said, Okokoji form with ECG. Now we feel it. Cheniama Odibeko Ufio.
Yeah.
Say Okoko near money be a kanwa. You have to go and update. And when they do overloaded transformers, I did brown house now can I brown flipper. Intini I idea ye be den ye be she. But with this tariff, no, it is clear the cost of oneself energy, no, very expensive. And I think going forward, you should also look at conservation.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a paper on it for the president to look at and the chief of staff, that we should make sure say there should be sensors in all the ministry departments and agencies. There's a PA free office, a kania nidum. Ya kania na it should go off. If your shops say why round in na say and now me catch you be say ya wada. Usi kroma na jwa shop enim kania siso. Omo mokokwa wu no. If you ada kani esiso, memenda kani esiso, edwa da kani esiso. 4 days. Kwesi ada so kani esiso. 4 days kani esiso na nipa no ubekwa kwhwe ne bill so na ebia enye den. Ohwe the way kani esiso a ebia na ne bill no ketwe bi. So utia bill cry, then we should start introducing sensors in commercial areas. Ukwa odo sensor no boho a about 6 a.m. na kania na do.
About 5 p.m.
We agree say because we need shop for security, but we need to regulate it. Send a buyer you bet me a free electricity. No be 24-hour economy. 24-hour economy say started say DVLA started some other places started. You buy time of use meters or back excellency dom the man Mahama Kedibi. Time of use meters. Time I will be used electricity no. Number 2, off-grid solar solutions for all more say commercial for no hairdressers, ne you shoes in this man shoemakers in this uncle keten small scale phone, so that almost also relief from the grid. Na etimikra ama electricity ni be available for other bigger industries. These are all interventions towards the 24-hour economy.
Okay.
What I say, about electricity dia dia every person are all involved in the 24-hour economy. And I believe, sir, as Feed Ghana, no, every entrepreneur should be part of it.
Okay, but that's it. Yamra Feed Ghana, no, so Honorable Dixon, ma mentions in fruit. So I'm penning kasa yemono, or chese, the Feed Ghana policy is going to be research driven. Minim adjuma ya in the background. Yeah, Baby will lay up this policy, but maybe you can shed some more light because you're not planting for food and jobs paying. You're not rearing for food and also paying. Emma and nay, Matthias sent me I said, who cried dreaming? Said Ghana, you're the Ebroni and Mocha, 27,000 tons of Ebro. Yeah, you're dying. Ghana, you're dying. All of my 5 minutes on Feed Ghana.
All right, CJ. In my opening remarks, make the way the game changer.
Yes.
That way, any policy, President Mahama introduce onye huajuma. In fact, it's been on the table for a while. Na mebo Honorable Erikupoku Abaso temana oye ranking. Oka Nsem bebree our parliament proposals by President Mahama the team are fine tune say if you talk about research driven agriculture, what it means and they say it is not business as usual. say seedlings are yede mo akuafo no improved ones and yede echo say livestock production we have technical people more conduct research kind of feeding yede be more area or more climatic conditions ebe boa more thrive nyina and of course technology ye be deploy na no aye launch no hu enoma eco say tractors ahodo input ahodo ye de be ye adwuma improve efficiency of the farmer nyina no ewo ho. That is what is called research driven agriculture, and on top of it we also very mindful of climate change issues. So climate smart agriculture ye be hwe say agriculture na ye in fact and no may contribute to climate change. You look at the energy sector is a key area, transport sector, agri sector itself contributes a lot, where okwa currently be huna ye twa nyina atoagu na yashi nnuano utwa nnuano they absorb carbon. So in the first place, so ukati tree back one, it means that we release carbon into the atmosphere. If you burn, CO2 goes into the atmosphere. So the kind of agriculture yes you say feed Ghana no, all these things are taken into consideration. Say you be minimize na you provide mitigations for climate change through the agriculture. That is what President Mahama talked about. And you feed Ghana no, components are a womani. The decan vegetables akudo say backyard obi a fie ye nkwara ye nyina fie dan ye chini ade enti tomato, onion, pepper, garden eggs, any vegetables ye di wo fie no emududu na obi a bedua bi won backyard will be supported. The ebeboa ne say one ebe improve nutrition, because the tomato vegetable ko marketer wuntumi nto, but so be wo fie ebe improve the nutrition of the family. Two, ebesan ya boa ye dua nya na dodo a ye betumi aye den asan aton bi eno part of the Feed Ghana agenda. The di ho institutional ones, secondary schools, churches, mosques, associations. They say unim national service that policy already, but now enhance escalate. Say national service farms will be back, churches, farms, ebeko, secondary schools especially the rural areas more land bebre ni ade no omo bedua enuane a ye de be feeding kwara no livestock.
Okay.
Ye de be feed poultry. When was the last time I called school ko hu ze nkwara ye mo eggs, ye mo chicken, ye mo beef? Very expensive, but say ye produce a ebeboa. Now I reduce cost, because if you look at budget fee President Mahama allocated to say free SHS 3.5 billion, a chunk of it goes into feeding.
Yeah.
It is a war and we are not be war school ebe reduce the cost of a year feeding ebe release sika for other projects You know, President Mahama is on course to remove the double tracking system, and we need to expand infrastructure and dinyina sika eti institutional ones don't so idea and also ebe boa ama yetumi afidi enkwara no ye free ska for expansion.
Okay.
Then the almighty nkukon fantastic project Minimzo Noble will go into it. And also Usha President initially plans are underway to support about 55,000 households go into it.
Okay.
Support system bia ye de bema ama ye produce poultry no where you different from elaborate support ye de ma commercial poultry farmers for them to expand, but individually or your backyards on small scale. Obia benya buo kakra straight away you get the support. What they be invite plans are underway say wa obeye in terms of feeding and normal support beba.
Okay.
Then you know you say you be produce a lot more so that import of poultry. In fact, over the years you can that is why I said earlier on. Say the internet your money. Now you spend over $400 million cash at the import of poultry, for frozen poultry. Abra, you work capacity to produce them locally and even export. Now you fresh chicken.
Okay.
It is a very good policy.
All right.
And I must say, I'm already called that policy during campaign. No, and one of the key a project president. Okay. All other sectors. You talk about Syrians. We have Lagos Development Project as part of the Feed Ghana project. There were livestock development. And there were cotton production expansion. And also a key area, Ministry of Agri, as part of Feed Ghana. Oil palm industry development. Then cocoa is back on the front burner. You know, cocoa used to give us close to $2 billion syndicated. There be any idea, but in the last 3 years, your cocoa production has reduced by close to 50-60%. A sunny, galamsey and other factors. It is now on the front burner.
Okay.
How can we get that? Cashew is part. Enti ye can't feed Ghana. This is reminiscent of the 1970s Operation Feed Yourself. Over reliance on food imports. And our buying pese, ye cutting advantages, be
Okay.
One, ye hard dollar, ye declare no, ye be reduce. Two, ye be meeting the nutritional needs of the people. Now three, ye surplus to export and get foreign exchange. And this is conscious, deliberate, well-researched policy. President Mahama Diaba under the leadership of Honorable Erikopoku.
Right.
The vision, the background, and the competence about issues of agriculture. Once again, when you see a policy, say the Honorable Kayano, we don't have to do politics with it.
All right.
Food security.
All right.
Honorable
Dixon Chendria, a member of Parliament, Brekum West, and Etienne and Kano. Honorable Ben, initial comment, clearly shows you support this Feed Ghana initiative, but maybe there's a way you would want us to go about it so we can get the full benefit of this important
CJ
initiative.
So on the for appointment John Mama Bay as for deputy ministers.
Yeah.
Aka for.
Yeah.
If you're in parliament, it's honorable parliament. On the person castle of parliament, you have to cut the speaker's eye.
Yeah.
By so very sorry now. Man was so very sorry. And say honorable Dixon person catch the eye of the president. So you say why the notes on Feed Ghana, and likely for him to chief of staff, so deputy president staff our into be a can be a man. So for now can be honorable Dixon question. CJ, this morning, Nami can your sister station, Joy Prime said the only thing me who ewo enra and as a Saturday lunch, the change of name from Planning for Food and Job to Feed Ghana. But there are 3 areas that I will be very happy, very, very happy, say, Abino, not as a pilot, but as BBD a focus, BBI reading, the schools, the prisons, and then to that extent, not the churches per se, but like commercial ones, The school, because I agree perfectly with Honorable Dixon. When we introduce free education, our second term, most of the critics banning in our is respect of what? Feeding. And I'm a boy. Near Cotre Duane, especially joy for. No more school, no more Cotre Duane, that was the problem. And now I know can say, CJ, give me any one secondary school, even in Accra. I need less than 10 acres of land. Give me one.
school. I think say school. Yeah.
Odogono Secondary School. Margaret Mary.
Yeah.
Ebenezer Secondary School. Accra Academy. They have the land.
Labani, St. Thomas Aquinas, St. Mary's.
They have the lands there.
That's all.
But the major problem that we always have is that feeding is always the problem. So if the Ministry of Agric and the Ministry of Education team me up to make sure, say, look, in fact, there's one secondary school, maybe a free school, no, and then it's a girls' school. They show on telly. I think it's either Eastern and I say West Central Mobako, or more fish pond, or more poultry farm, or more tomato farm. They have everything in the school. So the only thing I'm being mekoto is oil. Oil, dear, and you mean oil palm, palm oil.
Yeah.
Wow. So for me, I think say the focus should be starting from the schools. As for the backyard gardens, and then just a few people will be doing, because now you go to in fact, and then I was even guilty of it. So later, and I was like, the only option I have is to go and look for a lorry tie or some barrel bin because when you come to my house, the whole house is paved. The whole house. So I was like, this thing, look, I have a cousin, a direct cousin of mine, school work by way. Mercy Daycare. They have an additional plot at school nechi. Me who want status. Why green pepper, onion, tomatoes, green pepper, both in Kitwano, carrot, plantain. I'm saying, Grace. And then what are you selling it? No, so I on a farm. So the next day I moved to the place to go and see it myself. See, I won't lie to you. More 1 acre be amasama. My wallet me the gate I cut to and my dear brother because I wanted to see and no more many panel. Look, my mother is fantastic. My mother is into farming. Over 25 acres of land. A friend is saying Kwenyaku. She passed away 3 years ago. Both myself and my sister, we are only two. You move BNC and 2 and 9 see hoye. Na abe farm. And I was like, no, she has won the district award.
You see?
And I was like, so me too, I'm making a fool of myself. Because they say most Kufuor is into farming. Mahama is into farming. Your friend is saying, most of big politicians, they are all into farming. But you see, the entire most of the youth no inform when you go farming. So when we are in a secondary school, no, you use it as like a punishment. When you do something, you go and weed. So Ufo say be a punishment. But today I can tell you, it is not about you sitting in the office, working in Cocoa Board, working at GRA, that will give you the money. Look, I have my boy back home, sometimes he drives me. And then I won't lie to you. Fajo. Sometimes I borrow money from him. Or and do something like your friend is saying, or to be told back home, your friend is saying 30,000, 40,000. I'm telling you, when my mother died, I was like, really?
Yeah.
And today, you come to my constituency, Mpensenpensenmu, every house that you over for was and when you see the account, look, baby, I record the copper mom or your friend is saying, how do you call it? On your market, go and look at the place. It has now turned to a friend is a cattle ranch. I'm telling you. So, but me, the only thing that I want to play with the government, look, my final politics. If a Kobase, say, I think a president, Mama, appointed the district executives, or any we are near Fred Ablukman Central MC. Maminipa 10, I won't pass on Munyan Kukon Kitty. Maminipa 10, Omunyan, your friend is saying, or pass on me in punching. Maminipa 20, on pass on Munyan in Rai. Teacher Mama will lose the value of it. But when we put partisan aside and we know say in this Accra Hanum, a bad thing say we make me down toasting we, but we make me say we give the people the opportunity to do it. Me now me catch you be say me train this week they me the better because of the Easter. Next week let me tell you go office.
Me continue Koko. I remember Nah, yeah, sorry, Nana.
CJ, a very good intervention. Now, you know, my dreams. I did about 1% million in tree. The person me in tree pa, but me nyas a helper. Maybe be in tree. Mate. Person me in tree pa. I had the Damakuma. Soon as I say no crowd to feed gun, and person could just as in a me. Time I need Susano, make operation feed yourself near young collar. But maybe pay fee. Your backyard was quite near Dria Bayre. Your whole need to you send you 2 coffee. Now you drea a brew. Your young a young cocoa. Your young rabbits. Nina will feel, and then me feel Masoko say a bodia. If you feel honor, a very one, a 1 year trouble dear needy. You more pim. Internet, this is a very good day, but me no. As I see it taking a feather near the car agri business. Say, I see it to me, they produce it to export.
Yeah.
Now, a boy, and yes, I did bedino, a juma, His Excellency, they are tono, a bemedian near Bassi, me any common year, a bemedian near Ba. Now, a dianeno baswa, and she ya, not yan fat. Agri business and count one for agro processing and count one. I feel not echo say. As I see a technology research, no, be a technology to process.
Yeah.
Be able to say plantain. Body obashana pro. As I see a timmy yet a crampo, a body powder. The pet technology, a research, a bit to me, I grind the body. No, Amana pass said the year kunkunte.
Yeah.
What I say?
Any fufu and powder.
What I say? It is a name basis. See tomatoes. I see tomato puree. Sometimes tomatoes are pro ne ego. To come from when you know, it also involves infrastructure. I mean, himself what they are to come.
Yeah.
What I say? You feed the roads to the mark friends and farms. A quite the farms in a baby. It's over a pro farm who into me farm.
Yeah.
Is these are all the things associated me share?
Okay.
A kika home. But I dare back what me come me dem a new chat or media. Me here will be no one minima year for me. Papa no a Greek minister. Kwame Nkrumah time. It's necessary me very much interested in a Greek. Now, I dare back prisons. Time I year swear in Mrs. Bafo Bonin. I will ye prisons here this is saying a kumano pay me chow. Oh no, and na. Or can't say, oh, my prisoners and your idol. She's going to use the prisons to start as part of the Feed Ghana program.
Yeah.
I'm on my info. No, promises, Excellency said, if 4 prisoners never yen. A be feed the almost prisoners, no. They be so feed Ghana.
Yeah.
This is a very good project.
Yeah.
It's me who says, I support it as a honorable kind, any politics in
Okay.
Come the NDC near, come the MPP near, come the CPP near, Ubiara, a come to middle. When you be a need this, no Ubia matter.
Why, Nanaya Jantua and Etienne and Kano are presidential staffer. Honorable Ebenezer Nina Nati, former member of parliament, Ablikuma Central. Honorable Dixon Chredua, or a member of parliament, Brekum West, and Etewa Monka. Yes, sorry.